welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen. I am your hostess, Tiffany Almazan, and here's my kitchen. I know it's been a little while since I've done one of these episodes, and I'm really excited to bring it back, and I'm ready to make some dinner. So we're going to be doing these episodes once a month on the first Wednesday of every month at 5 p.m. Pacific. So I hope you'll mark your calendar, make sure that you subscribe to live video notifications on this page so that you will always be in the loop. I can't promise that I will always give a heads up, although I will try. So today, well, this month in particular is my anniversary month. My honey and I are celebrating our 18th year married, and it's awesome. It's been an amazing adventure, crazy ride, and so this month is about celebrating the whole month. So he's been working a lot of hours, a lot of days too, and we've been kind of just having meals separately for a bit. So he's not doing that tonight. He'll be home in a couple hours, so I thought I want to make us a dinner together. So perfect timing to do it with you. Now, you'll have to excuse me that I will in advance apologize that I don't have everything all cut up and ready to go to just kind of dump in. So I'm not one of those chefs yet that is uber prepared. So I just kind of run with it and use what I have and be a little bit messy as I go. So it is what it is. Fair warning for you on that. So I can always edit this either. Always edit this as well later too, to cut up or speed out. Cut out, speed up. There you go. So here we go. And if I don't respond to your post, your comments as you're watching this live, I will check back later and look for them if I'm not really. It's a little bit further away from me for the camera today too as well. We're trying something new so that you can see what I'm doing as well. And we'll see how it works, because my kitchen is not quite laid out for the best way of doing these live shows. So anyway, we're going to dive right in. What are we making today? Well, what am I making? I'm gonna make a mushroom stew, and this is the first time I'm doing this recipe, so I am excited about it. You know, when you see a picture in a cookbook and you're like, oh my gosh, it looks so amazing, that's this recipe. Dying to do it. And a lot of times people think that raw means uncooked, cold, crunchy, just salads kind of food, right? So I thought, why not a savory, warm recipe to share with you? So that's what this is. All right, so I've got my cookbook here. It's actually coming from Live Raw. I love some of her recipes. Mimi Kirk, she's amazing example of being raw and uber healthy and amazingly fit and vibrant. It's wonderful. So check out her book. But we're gonna be following her recipe for portobello mushroom stew with some little adjustments for me and what I may or may not have in the pantry. So we'll get started. First up is mushrooms. We are going to chop these up. We got to get them started marinating. And you don't need to be too fine with any of this stuff, because all these things are going to shrink as they get uncooked. So we're just kind of giving them a pretty thick slice. These are actually shiitake mushrooms. These are super good for you. These are one of the medicinal healing mushrooms that are uber good for you. So, recipe calls for portobello, as is in the title, but I didn't have enough portobello, so I'm using some of these. And we'll just do as much as what we think looks like what would be 3 of those large portobello mushroom caps, right? And they're gonna go in this bowl. I'm gonna get a little marinade going on. Now my dogs eat raw, but per a species-specific diet for them, raw does not mean the same as for us humans. They get raw meat, so majority of their diet is raw meat, and as they eat animals that eat grass, and basically they eat vegetarians for the most part, right? So is that a way to describe it? So they only get a little bit of fruits and veggies. It's kind of an additive, what would be found in the prey's stomach that they would eat, right? So they get a little bit of it. So these don't need to be composted, your stems of your mushrooms. I always take them off and put them in my dog's food. They get ground up, they get blended up in a little food processor, because dogs don't have the same kind of acid in their stomach to digest these kind of fruits and veggies. Their system is designed for meat, which is why they do good with stuff that's pre-digested in the stomach of the animals they're eating. Just in case you wanted to know that. So here we go. Alright, so this looks, well, I got 2 more mushrooms there. This looks pretty good actually. This kind of looks like a bit generous, but hey. We're just gonna add as much as I feel like. Alright, these are actually the baby portobello, so I'm halfway there, right? And we're gonna do a little marinade on them. Got my bowl full here. Marinade is, I don't know, you can measure this stuff, but with a marinade, I mean, you just kind of do it until it looks good, right? So I'll post all the instructions after this video so you have the right amounts and all if you want to do this recipe yourself. But we're just doing some liquid aminos. Is what I'm using. It's also, soy sauce works too. There's even Nama Shoyu is a really good fermented soy sauce, so that keeps it raw. You could also use coconut aminos. Some people use that, but I don't really like the flavor of it. I think it's still a little bit too coconutty. So you could also use tamari. I always confuse that with tahini, but a lot of people like tamari because it's a wheat-free version of soy sauce. Tastes really good, so whatever works for you. This here is just unfiltered extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed, which also is always what you're looking for in an oil to keep it raw, not heat treated, to keep it good for you, right? And this, we'll just kind of stir this up a little bit. Mushrooms are super good at absorbing all the liquid that you put on them. So a marinade is really great to do in advance, especially when you're uncooking. And hopefully you can hear me well enough, like I said, because I'm not as close as I usually am to the camera. So this will be a good practice for me as well. But one thing I can't see, I will say hello to, oh hey Ellen, now I can read it. I do love hearts and likes, so give me as much of those as you like. I can actually see that from here, so that'd be good. So now they're just kind of, just made sure it's coated a little bit. And I'm gonna leave them sit over here to the side while we move on with the next element. All right, so like that. These are going over here to save for the puppies. Now we gotta work on the onion. And I think I need to sharpen my knife. Really, you only need like half an onion. These I don't give to the dogs, so maybe I should put them over here. I kind of need a little compost thing when I'm doing these videos. I'll have to remember that next time. Peel this. Again, this says finely chopped, but you know what? Just a recipe, right? You can kind of do whatever you want with it, right? That's what I say. Alright, so everything that goes, this is going to go in a dehydrator at the end for a couple hours, which is why I'm getting started now before my honey is home. So me personally, I'm just going to leave them kind of just like thicker slices. We've got our little tray. This is what they're going to go in. This is actually going to pop right into the dehydrator. I'm going to take out, I have an Excalibur 9 tray, and I'm going to take out a couple trays so that I can fit this in. And then it's going to kind of get uncooked for a couple hours. And it will marinate everything down, make all of the veggies shrink up a bit. Just like what happens when you saute them on the stovetop, right? Everything gets a little smaller. So I'm not doing the little chop stuff. I like things bigger. And let's see here. Throw this in. And see, that's not even very much. I mean, like half of an onion, that's not even very much. So we're just doing the other half real quick too. Wow. Ooh, Okay, and I once saw in the store the goggles that you could buy in the cooking section of the store, like the utensil area at Bed Bath & Beyond, for goggles for when you're cooking onions, chopping onions. The one trick I did learn that I haven't tried yet, so I don't know if somebody could say if this really works or not, is to wet your knife. If you constantly wet your knife in water as you're slicing, the onions aren't gonna have that, not gonna make you cry. So I don't know if that's true or not. All right, so there's my onions. Random pieces of paper. What else do we got? Then we're gonna do, oh goodness. Pardon my sniff here. All right, so we gotta make some cheese now. And here's a cool version of non-dairy cheese that you're gonna get to see. So I didn't bring over my Vitamix, so stay tuned for that. And cheese recipe. Just stir up my mushrooms one more time. Okay, they'll be. Hang on 1 second. Okay, here is the Vitamix. Vitamix is really great when you want things to be super smooth. So I could probably use a food processor, but I was gonna make it smoother. So, and check this out. I wanted to show this to you. How can I need another bowl. Let's just kind of put you guys in together. So the recipe calls for a cup of cashews. Now to keep this recipe raw, we're using raw cashews. And a tip for you is that everything you see related to nuts, and pretty much most everything in the store, if it's not labeled raw, it's not, okay? So you're gonna find these, I get them at Trader Joe's. They have the best price on cashews. They're not the cheapest of nuts. You can also find them at Sprouts, bulk food section there in Sprouts. And Trader Joe's are already prepackaged. Who cares if they're whole or not? It's cheaper to buy them as like halves and pieces and stuff like that. So I have my raw cashews. This is a cup that I put in here, and they've been soaking in water for a couple hours. Now, here's the catch. You're not gonna be able to see it in here. Okay, let's try something else here. I wanna show you what it looks like. Why you soak the nuts. For one thing, they have an enzyme inhibitor on them, which is why people have an issue digesting nuts. So you want to soak them first because it releases into the water, and then you rinse them off, and now your body's gonna be able to assimilate them better. It also helps things, for cashews especially, they get super smooth and creamy when they've been soaked. So here's the water. Now, these are fresh cashews right out of the bag, right? Raw. Look how cloudy that water is. Here's my fresh water. Look at the difference. If you don't soak them, this is what's going in your food. So soak your nuts. And trust me, you do not want to use the non-raw nuts, okay? Even if they're unsalted, they just won't taste the same. They're obviously not gonna have the same health benefits for you, but they're not gonna even taste the same either. So there's that, and I've got my handy water system here. I'm just gonna rinse these real quick. And I don't want you to be washed. I'm just gonna swish them around a bit. Dump this off. Oh, volume is fine. Great. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. And they also will expand. So usually in recipes, raw recipes, everything is, unless the recipe says so, it's all pre-whatever treatment that you're doing to them. So if they ask for nuts, it's pre-soaking the amount. Like a cup of raw cashews, it's a cup pre-soaked. After you soak them, they're gonna turn into about a cup and a quarter, cup and a half. Same thing with like sunflower seeds. When they tell you to measure it and then grind them, it's the pre-ground amount that you're measuring, unless the recipe, says separately. So here's our cashews. We put about 3 cups of water, unless we want it a thinner cheese. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna put in my nutritional yeast. This is a really cool ingredient for raw eaters, this nutritional yeast. It's technically not raw, but I think pretty much like everybody accepts it as being a cool thing to have. It's got a very cheesy flavor. So it works great for making your Parmesan cheese. Oh my gosh, for, you know, like toppings on salads and stuff. Oh, it's so good. So we got 3 tablespoons of this, right? It's also got B12 in it as well, which is one of those nutrients that they say people that don't eat meat are going to be deficient in. Well, the whole world's deficient in it, you know, really. So, because the animals don't eat the same ways they did before. Grass-fed is obviously better for you, but the way the food's all processed, you're seriously not getting what would have given you the benefits of the B12 coming from the bacteria that's in the dirt and the grass and all that the animals are eating, right? So you eat the animals, you get it. Well, it goes straight to the source, but anyway, that's another topic. So, tablespoon of lemon juice, I got that somewhere. Throw that into, look, one thing I have pre-measured. Ha, imagine that, right? Okay. Get props for that. And then some salt and pepper to taste, right? Whatever looks good here. And I wish there was a mute button on the live, so just gonna throw that in. And let's see. All right, so plug your ears. Let's give it a go. Did I plug it in? I did, okay. Ooh. Ooh. Let's see how it tastes. It's good, actually, but I want more. Excuse me. I want a little bit more lemon juice. So I've got actually some saved here. A little bit of perfect amount, I think. And then a little bit more of the salt. More to taste, right? And what else was I gonna put in? Oh, I was gonna throw in a little bit more of this for a little bit extra, because even though it says 3/4 cup of water and add more if you want it thinner, I think I should have started with 1/2 cup of water because it's a little bit thin. So we'll give it a little bit of the flakes for thickening, and then we'll just whip that up again too. And then I'll show you the texture. So plug your ears. Alright, here goes. Let's try this again. Oh yeah, that's really good. And here's the texture. Can you see a little bit? It's actually still kind of thin. But it'll work, right? So that is gonna go. Cheese in there. What else do we got? Chopped onion, mushrooms, cheese, and pesto. Okay. All right, so we're gonna let the mushrooms marinate for a couple more minutes while I work on some of these other quick little veggies. And that's all I need for the Vitamix, so we can move this out of the way. All right, now, something else I'll share with you is the recipe calls for some fresh tomatoes. I don't have any fresh tomatoes. Well, I lied. I have this little bit right here. I have this little bit. Supposed to have 2 tomatoes. That's all I got. So I'm going to use that. And then I've been soaking these sun-dried tomatoes. Thought, why not, right? So this is actually about, I think, like 20 or 24 of them. They're kind of little. I mean, you can see they're not real big. So there's that. And then this is actually what the package looks like. I get them online from the raw food. Oh, it's backwards, huh? The rawfoodworld.com. And it does include the rawfoodworld.com. Really good, and they often have sales on them too, which is kind of cool. Hey, Corinne. So that's what I did, and I've just had them soaking for maybe an hour. So I'm just gonna pull these out. You can always save this soak water too, because it'll be really good for other things that you're trying to flavor instead of just using water. So you can remove that. And I'm just gonna chop these up a little bit. I need a Kleenex break from the onions still. I need to give my nose a good blow so that I'm not sniffing on you all night here. Alright, so we got those just chopped up a bit. I figure that's going to give it a really good savory flavor too. And then we're going to chop these up. And there's my random compost pile over there. The tomatoes, those in the pile. What else do I need? Oh, raw olives. This one's kind of fun too. Let me show you this. Okay, so I got these forever ago from the Raw Food World because Kerwin loves olives. I'm not like a huge fan of them. I'm learning to with raw eating that they're very savory, some good salt, some good kind of flavor. So these are from the rawfoodworld.com. They are raw, organic, Peruvian dried olives. Okay. Here's the thing though, they expired a while ago. They got a little expiration on them too. But I'm using them anyway. I soaked them, some of them a while ago, and Kerwin tried them and he said they tasted great. So I'm like, okay. So I soaked them a little bit to see, that didn't really help much though, compared to how they were originally. So we'll see what happens. They may be kind of hard once they go in, but let's see if I can chop them. There, let's see how this works. Oh yeah, these are kind of hard now. Yeah, this is gonna be, oh, check this out. Don't tell me this, really? Oh wow, they're not that hard. They have a pit in them. Oh my gosh, so you can tell I don't eat onions. I mean, olives. Wow, okay, cool. Oh, that's so great. So, stand by. Let's see how this works. Is this gonna be quick or is this gonna take a while? I think this is gonna take a while. But wow, that's pretty kind of cool. Now I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure this part out. So we're gonna save this for a little bit. Maybe I'll add these in at the end off video so you don't have to hang out here with me this long watching. I'll just keep them soaking. Oh yeah, tastes like an olive, that's for sure. Okay, so what else do I need? Cheese, pesto, capers. Oh yeah, capers. Capers are super cool too. These have been soaking in just in plain old vinegar, water, and a little bit of salt. I haven't found another version of them anywhere, so I don't know. See, we're just gonna drain this water out, and I missed the bowl. Part of my mess. I just poured and missed the bowl. So I wanted 1/4 cup, and this is all that I've got left in this little jar. So it's probably about 1/4 cup. I might use a few more because I've learned that capers are really cool. They're kind of like olives in that they're really savory and yummy. And these are handy little jars for dressing to take with you. So we got that, and do we need to do anything with these capers? No, we just kind of put them in. Okay, well, they're ready to go. Raw olives, capers. Okay, cool. Now, the other part is pesto. This pesto is pre-made. Pre-made! Something else I've pre-made, so imagine that. This stuff is, oh, so good. I really wish you could smell this, but this is a recipe actually called basil vinaigrette. It's not pesto, but it is so good that this is like the only kind of basil dip, dressing, pesto that you need. It works as salad dressing. It's so good. So that's all ready to go. I can post a recipe for this one too. It's really cool because it doesn't use nuts, which I really like. So it's a much lighter basil pesto than the average one that has, you know, pistachios or pine nuts, macadamia nuts in it. So that's ready to go. Okay, so back to my mushrooms. These you could just leave marinating for a lot longer. They just get more yummy as they go. And that's Ian saying hello, so All right, so they actually look pretty good though. You see how they're just already kind of marinating down a little bit, which is great. So here's what we do. We dump these on top, and they're still gonna sit in the marinade as well. You see there's no liquid left, so they've already absorbed that much of it. So they'll continue to marinate as they're dehydrating. So we spread that out, then we pour the cheese over top. Here's my cheese. Now you'll get to see the texture a little bit too. Or that it's a little too liquidy, but maybe not bad, we'll see. When she says, another sample here, 6 tablespoons of it, right, yeah. We'll see about that. I'll give you the actual stuff that she says to use, but I say more. Oh, that looks good. And oh gosh, and I still have like tons of it left, so. And then we put the pesto on. She also said 6 tablespoons of this too, but whatever, right? I'm being the chef here. So this is what it looks like. So you kind of see, can you see that still? The texture of it, how thick it is. I'm just kind of dropping it on here. Trying to be somewhat neat for you guys. Oh gosh, this is just looking so good. Yum. And you really can't have too much basil, okay? Or basil, even basil pesto. It's so good. And this already has my infamous garlic in it, so otherwise I would be adding it. The recipe doesn't call for it, but I would be adding it because I love garlic. And I'm just kind of gonna blend that in with each other a little bit there. All right. See where we're at so far? Look at that. It's kind of bright, right? Doesn't that look good? Oh my gosh. Okay. So now capers go on top. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. This is like making me hungrier just looking at it. And then the tomatoes. Ho ho ho. Okay, and has any of this like been hard? I mean, the cheese wasn't hard. I mean, the olives are probably going to be the hardest part of the whole thing to pit them when I'm not used to how you do that. So maybe it's easier if they're not expired olives. All right. So there's that. I don't want to miss any pieces. What else do I got out here? I'm supposed to put on tomatoes, the olives that I don't have yet. Okay, cool. So she says this is ready to go in, and you would dehydrate this for 2 to 3 hours. But then she says if you want like extra crunch, you can add more veggies on top at the end, but I'm putting them in now because I want to. So the other thing she calls for is bell pepper. So we're gonna put some of this bell pepper in. My dogs love bell peppers, by the way, too, so. And again, you don't have to chop this stuff too fine because it will shrink up a bit. If you put them in at the end, yes, make them a little bit thinner because they're not going to shrink up so much because they won't be as dehydrated. But these are going to dehydrate, so I'm kind of keeping them a little bit thicker. So maybe like twice what you might ordinarily do with them. There's that, and I'm going to cut them in half. And then we got the end part here too. Okay, so this is going right on. Oh man, oh man. It's gonna be so cool. Oh. I will take a picture once it's all done so you can see. She says some celery. Rinse this off. This is some organic celery from Costco. And this I'll probably dice up a little bit more because celery is really kind of strong. But again, the puppies are going to get these, and that's going to go compost. like a hint of celery, not too strong, so littler. Okay, celery going in. And again, she calls for like a 1/4 cup of all of these things, but we like food around here, so I'm making a lot. And then we got a zucchini. I don't want to overdo it, so we'll probably do that amount. Dogs get this too, so there's that for them. Organic ones, they don't peel because you get all the nutrients in them. And I don't like a huge hit of zucchini either, so these are probably 1/4 inch, well, maybe a little bit more thick. And then I'm gonna cut them in half. Could have done this differently, huh? But oh well. I am proof you don't have to be an expert in the kitchen to make this stuff work, so. Alright, so there's some zucchini. We'll throw that on top. Wow. Okay, anything else? Missing some pieces here. Randomness everywhere. Oh yeah. Huh, look. Kerwin wanted broccoli at Costco, and I was like, but you don't ever eat it. So I'm throwing some in because it's in the fridge for a bit and it needs to get used. So, I'm gonna put some broccoli in. And I'm just making it little bit smaller, cutting off the big stalk, because that'll take longer to dehydrate, so we don't want that. Throw in some broccoli. And also got some carrots we're gonna throw in too. Smorgasbord of stuff. Yumminess. Alright. Oops, I got a few more here actually, huh? Might as well throw them in. One thing I don't know on how this broccoli is going to turn out is it's on top. It may get a little too dry. I might have put it in earlier so it could have sat close to the pesto if I'd have thought about it. But we'll find out. Like the other ones already have moisture in them, so they're going to be really perfect as you dehydrate down, so we'll see what happens with this. And then a few carrots too. I got these baby carrots. They're kind of cool because you don't have to peel them. Well, and they're organic anyway, so you wouldn't have to peel them even if they weren't peeled, but they're babies. They're kind of cool. And then, I mean, honestly, if you wanted to make this and you weren't eating raw, you could put this in the oven for a little bit, you know? Just kind of like roast your veggies a bit. It's still going to be healthy for you, right? It just won't be as nutritious because you're going to kill some of the enzymes that are in there. Well, you'll kill all the enzymes, really. So you don't really want to do that, but it's better than eating other stuff, right? So might as well use this last little bit of carrots. Oh, and this is good for the dogs too. Broccoli is so good cancer fighting. Works for the dogs as well. But again, all that stuff for the dogs is getting ground up in the food processor. Okay, and there's your carrots. Alright, let's see what we got. Carrot, celery, bell pepper, tomatoes, zucchini. At the end, we should garnish with pine nuts and some parsley. So she says, so. Whoa, this kind of blends in. I got a dab of cheese on here. Lovely. All right, I think I got it all. Make sure to check through everything. There you go. Okay. So here's what it looks like. I mean, why is it so bright? Wow. Doesn't that look super yummy? It's amazing. Hi, Cynthia. This is gonna go in the dehydrator for probably 3 hours. Well, maybe getting late, it's 5:40. Maybe 2.5. Depends on when Kerwin gets home and is ready to eat. But the longer you let this dehydrate, really your veggies are gonna get like super yummy. It's gonna probably need at least 2 hours to even really be warm and like in a way you wanna eat it that's not a salad. So here's what it looks like. I am gonna throw this in. Gosh, let me get a close up here if it's not so. There, that's a good color. Hey Christine, here is my finished product. This is going in the dehydrator now for a couple hours. This is a dinner of celebration that Kerwin and I finally get to have together. He's been working a lot since we got back into town from Vancouver. So here it is, and I'm gonna take a picture of it now, and I will take a picture of it after it comes out of the dehydrator so you can see what it looks like. And of course, I'll report back on how yummy it is. If you have any questions, I will post the recipe. Once this is posted, I will get the recipe in there too. You have instructions for it. If you have any questions on anything, I gotta include the basil recipe for you too, the cheese recipe, and then it's just a mess of yummy veggies and mushrooms marinated, so it looks amazing. So thank you for watching. This is this month's episode of In the Kitchen with Life of Joy, and me as your hostess, Tiffany Almazan. Oh no, it's okay, Christine. You can watch it on the replay. I'm gonna post it like real quick, so it's pretty cool. It's my mushroom stew. I've never made this, and we made a little tweaks to the recipe, but I think it's gonna turn out great. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching, like I said, and if you want to see something in particular next month, let me know. I'll see what I can create for you. And even if you have a favorite unhealthy cooked recipe, you want to know can it be made raw, or you want to know how it will be done, I'm up for the challenge. Drop me a note. I would love to give it a go. So that's all she wrote for now. Thanks so much, you guys, and I will be back again. Let's see, my next live is gonna be tomorrow afternoon in the Joy to Your Health group at 2 p.m. Pacific, Thursday Talks. If you want to join the group, you're welcome to do that. Just message, on this post here, and I'll add you to the group. It's an open group for people that are looking to be healthier in their lives, whether it's with the food you're doing, the moving your body to get yourself going and keep yourself supported, your lymphatic system going, be healthier with exercise as much as we don't all like it, namely me, and also take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally too. So you're invited to join that group. That's when I'll be live next. So I will see you all then. Cooked and dehydrated. Ooh, snuck that question in before I left. Good one, Christine. Cooked is when foods are no longer living, and the enzymes that are naturally occurring in them that our body needs to digest the food have been killed. They've been cooked out, so it's no longer living. So some people really call it that you're eating not just raw, but you're eating raw and living foods. Plane going overhead, if you can hear that. Dehydrating is when you cook the foods, you warm them at a very low temperature so that the enzymes have not been destroyed or cooked. The temperature, there's some debate over it, but they say when the food gets 112, you're pretty safe. Some people say it's 115, some say 118, whatever, but at 112 degrees is when you start to lose the enzymes, when food starts to become cooked. So we cook it down. This is gonna go in at 110 degrees. A lot of things like nuts that I do, they kind of sit in the dehydrator for 24 to 48, even up to 72 hours for almonds. At like 95 degrees. So usually between 95, 105, and 110 is where you dehydrate things at. And sometimes you can start out at like 115 for the first hour because the food's not gonna rise to that temperature immediately. You kind of kickstart it a bit and then you would drop it back down. But if that answers your question, hopefully, between cooked and dehydrated, I know it kind of seems like you're still cooking a bit, right? But that's how we get to be sneaky and have warm stuff. You can also use the Vitamix to warm up a lot of things. Just leave it running and you can get your warm drinks. I usually shoot for 106 degrees when I'm warming stuff up because it goes so quick to get over that line, and then I end up boiling things if I use the stovetop to even warm for a little bit. So I've got a kitchen thermometer that I put in my liquids to test the temperature when I'm trying to make warm drinks or, you know, like a blended soup. So, but there you have that. Hope that answers that question. Thank you very much for asking. That's a good one. And I will sign off now and see you guys again next time. Bye for now.